Cashiers of Reddit. What products make you silently judge the persons who buy them? A Vietnamese lady came in a day after Valentine's Day to buy candy. She bought hundreds of bags. I made a joke about how the dentist bill must be insane, and she told me how she sends the candy to orphan homes in Vietnam because they don't have candy there apparently. Don't judge a book by its cover, guys. Edit. A few words. Edit 2. Stop saying it's BS. The story is true, whether the lady lied or not. However, I don't know, but I'd like to believe that she is just a good person. I know a guy that purchases cases of water-based lube every other week to donate to homeless shelters. Every time this question comes up, I wonder, what makes you think I think anything about you? I think about my feet hurting, my back aching, and how long until my shift ends. You? Not so much. I'm a cashier and this is it. The only time I think about the customers is when they are doing something actually annoying. So if you're not licking your fingers before touching the bills, being super critical about how I do things, telling me the same stupid joke that I've already heard 5 times this shift, or anything generally annoying, I don't care what you buy. Every time I buy a lube, I always get this feeling that the cashier thinks I am buying it to have butt sex. Same feeling I get whenever I buy double-ended dildos. The only time I really judged someone was when he came in and found a perfume he liked and bought 2. I said, it would probably be a good idea if you have 2 women in your life, thinking wife, mother, daughter, etc., to get them something different. He said, oh, no, one is for my wife, the other for my girlfriend. If they wear the same perfume, I don't have to worry about my wife smelling my girlfriend's perfume on me. I mean, that is smart, but it's also shitty. This isn't exactly the same thing, but I used to work at AutoZone. One day a customer came in and asked if there were any deals on our strongest antifreeze. I asked him if he meant the lowest temperature rating and he said no, the one with the most ethylene glycol. I was really confused and asked him what he needed it for, and he told me it was because his neighbor's kids just got kittens and they were trespassing on his property. I excused myself and went back to my boss, the store manager, and told him, and he told me I had to make the sale. I had to sell him 4 gallons of antifreeze to kill some defenseless kittens and absolutely crush his neighbor's kids. I try to never say I hate anybody and I never wish harm on anybody, but yep, the new stuff is embarrassed by law, though not in all places, so the cats would have likely not gotten into it anyway. Cashier of 5 years here. After a while you don't notice and it all becomes the same because you're so familiar with the items your store carries. Only time I have made an extreme judgment based on items purchased was when a man came in and purchased peanut butter, dog treats, condoms, lube and rope. Not even joking. Yeah, that's the condom game. You try to buy the stuff that'll freak out the cashier the most. Not a cashier either, but when my friend would buy Depends, you could tell the cashier and everyone in line would judge him hard. He was a 23-year-old college kid who still peed the bed when he drank. He tried his best, man. Edit. No, he didn't wear them to parties. He tried to remember to put them on when he drunkenly got home. This led to him putting them on backwards multiple times. This effectively kept his piss out of his diaper and in his bed. Once he forgot to put them on and brought a girl home. Let's just say he convinced her that he drunkenly showered in the middle of the night. Her ride home must have been mortified. He's not my friend anymore. You've gotta buy some stereotypical old people things with it, and pretend you're doing your grandpa a favor. Freshman year of high school, I was a cashier at a local grocery store. There was an upscale organic cupcake boutique in town that sold their cupcakes for about $4 each. It was ridiculous, but people still bought them. Anyway, the owner would come in every other week and buy about 20 boxes of Betty Crocker cupcake mix and frosting. She must have had like a 2000% rate of return on those things. Edit. The cupcake boutique has since gone out of business, and the lady was a beachy soccer mom in her mid-30s, so I doubt she was the confession on here, but it's interesting to know how common this apparently is. I seem to recall a confession here once where a woman told about how she made cupcakes at home with cupcake mix. All her friends kept telling her how good they were and she should start a business. So she did. Now she was scared shitless that someone would discover her secret. I didn't judge, but it's a great story. I saw the guy in the condom aisle looking absolutely baffled. I am a pharmacist and went to help, with an inward sigh. Some people have no idea how to use them. He said, I have no idea what I'm looking at. There are so many. I've been fixed for almost 20 years. But my boy's going to college. And I don't want him bringing STDs or any babies home with him. He got really excited when I told him about sperm addict and bought 5-6 dozen count boxes. That's a good dad. Okay, quick story. I have an ultra conservative Asian mom who never ever even mentioned sex, ever. When I got out of boot camp to my first duty station, everyone was getting care packages from home, cookies, civilian clothes, etc. I got one from my mom. It was about 100 condoms, assorted boxes, with a note, please be safe, and we will never talk about this package. Love, Mom. I work in a bookstore. I've had people read with shame while they bought 50 Shades of Grey and make comments about how I must think they're idiots. Look, I don't give a shit what you buy. At least you're reading and keeping my store open. Do you also get the weekly old men who proudly slap down their porn mag on the counter? I used to work for Borders and those were always the nicest old men. No creepers. I used to work at a local pharmacy and a regular customer came in. The only items he purchased were a wrist brace and a tube of KY jelly. He must have noticed me looking at the items and he said, I swear these are unrelated. Whatever helps you sleep at night, dude. Every week, this woman bought a shopping cart full of toilet paper. It wasn't my business to ask why, but was curious. How could anyone or any family use so much of it? One day, she said that she was glad it finally went on sale, because she donated most of it each week to the 2 homeless shelters in town. I thought that was so great. That took an unexpected nice turn. I used to work at a Save-A-Lot as a cashier. Our client base tended to be a little lower on the economic ladder. At the first of the month, when the benefits get loaded to their cards, I always hated to see people push a cart up full of soda, chips, etc. These people also usually tended to be in poor health. I didn't really judge them. I more felt pity for them. I also didn't like seeing people who would come in with the PIN number for their card on a piece of paper. It was a small town. I know that wasn't your card. I didn't hold it against the people who had the misappropriated card, but more against the people who sold their $300 worth of food stamps for $150 so they could buy alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, etc. The sad part was, a lot of the people selling had kids. A cashier once talked shit to my grandma when she bought pig's feet. I think they are gross, too, but I don't want you talking shit to my grandma about how gross they are. Mind your business. Picture it, the 31st of October, 1974. My mom sends 11-year-old me to the store for a bag of apples, and my dad needs Gillette razor blades. The cashier looks at me like I just took a dump on her conveyor belt. Parents with very overweight kids buy nothing but junk food. Do you judge people who are high and buy junk food? I worry sometimes. Also, can you tell I'm high when I do it? A guy buys feminine hygiene products and has to explain that it's for his girlfriend. Dude, nobody thinks you were buying tampons for yourself. Edit. I have learned many disturbing new uses for tampons, from alcoholic butt plugs to boner hiding apparity. Not a cashier, but I learned the other day that apparently you get judged for buying alcohol at 7 AM. The cashier was pretty vocal about it, and if I wasn't so non-confrontational, I would have told a manager. She flat out said something along the lines of, it's a little too early for boozing up, don't you think? 1. None of your business if I'm drinking early in the morning. 2. It was on sale during a routine trip to get milk and such. Am I supposed to just leave it and come back after 5 PM to buy my alcohol? However, when I got home, I realized how my entire purchase looked. I got milk, chocolate milk, Lunchables, also on sale, and a strawberry daiquiri. She probably thought I had kids or something, so I understand her concern. Kind of. She didn't have to say anything, though. It really struck a nerve. Edit. For those asking if she was joking, maybe. Her tone didn't sound very jokingly, but I may be wrong. Either way, alcoholism is a serious thing and it kind of strikes a nerve when it's implied in such a manner. If it was obvious she was joking around, I wouldn't have gotten so upset over it, but her tone really did make it feel offensive. Worked as a cashier at Kmart once and it was like my third week there, and then this couple came into my line. They were buying lube, tissues and condoms. As awkward as it was, I had to ring them up. Then out of the complete blue the guy asks me, "Hey, you should ask me what I'm going to do with those." My supervisor turns and looks me dead in the eyes as a literal ball of sweat drips from my brow. I'm awestruck. I continue to ring them out in silence, then I say I'd rather not. They both laugh at me and I just continue to ring them out. Heavy judgment because the chick was really hot. Kmart was my first job. I loved when Mexican dudes would come into my line with multiple packs of man thongs. Other than that, the ducking job sucked. LDR, while being a cashier I questioned why someone would subject themselves to itchy fabrics. As a teenager I was judged for buying condoms that were for a reason other than sex. The only time I can remember having a thought about a customer was when they bought out camouflage print lingerie with pink edging. I honestly could care less if they wanted to buy it, even though I thought it was hideous. But while folding it I couldn't get over how itchy the fabric was. I was curious about why someone would subject themselves to that. My shopping habits were judged by a cashier when I was 14. My music teacher sent me to the store for unlubricated condoms. They are a way of keeping actors' sweat from damaging body microphones. It was a small town and the cashier knew me. She was horrified about what I was buying, and before I could explain she insisted on calling my mother to let her know I was having sex. I then got to explain in a very loud voice I was a virgin and they were for microphones. Even if I had been buying them for sex, I would think the smarter move on her part would be to sell them to me. If teenagers have decided to have sex, then they are going to do it regardless of how adults feel. Public shaming and denying them protection is not going to stop sex, but can lead to other consequences. Edited to add additional information. Both the teacher involved and myself are females. Got judged by a cashier once. I was working in a welding and fabrication facility at the time as a repair guy. Since I wasn't one of the welders, I would often get tasked with whatever needed doing. The particular job at the time required ultrasonic testing of bends made in some tubing to ensure proper wall thickness. We had one tube of ultrasound gel. Sure enough, the tube got knocked off the table and run over by a forklift. The job was very time critical and we need to do the ultrasounds now. A good substitute for ultrasonic gel is KY. I grabbed a fistful of petty cash and rushed over to a nearby grocery store and grabbed every tube of KY they had. I then ran up to the cashier, who then rang up tube after tube after tube. I was in such a rush that I really hadn't thought about the normal use of KY. As she was looking at me oddly and silently ringing up my purchase, I said something like, "It has been crazy at work today." The look on her face was priceless. Halfway out of the parking lot I realized what happened. We all had a good laugh about it at work and I had the nickname of KY for a few days. Not a cashier, but I have a story. I got rectal cancer at age 28. I had my rectum removed. During recovery I became completely incontinent, so I had to start wearing Depends. Just for clarity, I'm a tall, skinny, relatively well-dressed young woman. The teenage boy checking me out at Walmart let out a quiet damn when he bagged them. One of our customers buys anywhere from 25-32 bottles of laxatives a week. Every week, and not the oral kind either. Maybe he cares for a giant family of surprisingly healthy heroin addicts. I'm a clerk at a convenience store. Not something I judge harshly for. Just something I've noticed and I think is funny. Teenagers buying condoms. Most adults buying condoms just come in, grab the condoms, pay for them, and leave. Most people are having sex, and adults realize that no one cares. Teenagers buying condoms are super awkward about it though. Typical scenario. A couple comes in. They look like they're about 15 or 16. The girl hangs out by the front door, looking around awkwardly or just staring at her phone. The boy will walk up and down the candy aisle, candy on one side, health and beauty stuff on the opposite side, pretending to look at candy, but keep looking at the condoms to try to see what the selection is without looking like he's looking at condoms. Bonus awkwardness if he texts his girlfriend to ask her opinion while she's standing right in front of me waiting. He'll then grab the absolute cheapest piece of candy he can find, and a box of Trojan fire and ice, every time. The way the kid wants it to look is I dragged my girlfriend down because I absolutely needed a single lemon head right this second. But I suppose I'll grab condoms while I'm here. Then after one of them pays, they'll quickly walk away with their heads huddled together acting like they just got away with something. I always want to tell them that they don't have to treat it like something shady or dirty, and that no one gives a shit. But I'm happy they're using protection, and I worry that even mentioning it would embarrass them enough to risk not coming in next time. A teenage girl come in with several members of her family. They all came up to the counter practically in tears and bought a pregnancy test. She then went into our bathroom to take the test, which I thought was odd. Seems like the kind of thing you'd do in the sanctity of your own home. Then the girl comes out, bawling, and then her family starts bawling and they're making a huge scene in the middle of my store. It was super duper awkward. The only people I silently judge are the ones trying to make up a reason for me to not silently judge them. So what if you eat that whole cake by yourself? Live a little. Bracelets that harness a healing energy of magnets. Yeah, well, joke's on you. Blood has iron and is magnetic. I have the power of science and the Lord. Parents get angry at their kids for wanting a 50p pack of stickers, or some cheap child's magazine saying we don't have enough money for that, whilst paying for cigarettes and lottery tickets. Not a cashier, but I worked in fulfillment for Amazon for 4 years. I can't tell you how many times I checked out the name on the label for a shipment of questionable combinations. Memorable shipments. Lube and dildo and baby Einstein video. 16 bottles of laxatives and adult diapers. Anytime someone orders Thai Hookers 101. What you must know about sex and prostitutes before coming to Thailand. TLDR. Don't ever think that buying something online means that you escape the judgment of others. Best comment of the day. The saddest thing I saw as a cashier was a young man, maybe a teen, with a GF holding a newborn each, twins screaming, coming up to the counter with a small bottle of cream, paying by coins. I was nosy and asked if it was for the babies. He nodded. I said, grab a can of baby formula and I will put it on my account. Made his night. I was so glad I had the courage to ask what my gut thought was going on.